My name is Abraham. When I was 4 months old, the Class family adopted me. Today is April 28th, 1945. My owners' names are Asher and Ayala. They have 2 children, one boy and one girl. The boy is 9 and his name is Erez. The girl is 11 and her name is Sharna. The most horrible thing happened today. My family had just let me outside and then a bunch of men came into my house and started yelling at my family. They said something like, "You Jews need to come with us, otherwise this will be very brutal and we will win." There were guns pointed at my family. What are Jews and why did these men want my family? I was outside looking in a window and my best friend Aryan, who is a bird, was right next to me. We both heard gunshots and I saw that Asher had been shot. At that point I just didn't know what to do. I was shocked. He was screaming from the pain and the man said, "If you want to live for now, you need to be quiet." Then I looked around at my family and saw Ayala and Sharna screaming and crying. Then I looked at Erez and he was as white as a ghost. The next thing I knew, they were all being pushed out the door and were told to start running. I turned to Aryan and asked him if he knew what Jews were, but he didn't. I couldn't believe that these loving people were just taken away from me. We walked in the house and sat on Erez's bed and tried to think of what we could do. We came to the conclusion that Aryan would fly after the men and see if he could figure anything out. I followed some footprints and arrived at a place with many people and some of those men that we saw. I saw a bunch of gates with barbed wire over the tops. I heard one of the men say something about a camp. I remember that one of Abraham's neighbors were talking about a concentration camp for Jews, disabled people, and gypsies. I heard a voice behind me say, "That is sick, isn't it?" "I think it is. My name is Makis. Who are you?" "I am Aryan. These men took my best friend's family and he sent me out to try to figure out what I could find. Hitler has no reason for taking it out on people who don't fit his credentials. It is said that since Hitler felt bad about the Germans losing World War I, he had to take it out on someone. Jews were looked at as non-German and do not have blonde hair and blue eyes, so they are the ones who have to suffer just because Hitler is angry. Then, of course, there are the homosexuals, disabled people, and gypsies. No one understands why he is like this, but it's crazy to think that someone could be. Do you see those buildings? The small buildings with the big wooden beds? That is where these people sleep. It is very uncomfortable, and all they're doing is sleeping on a piece of wood. Do you see the big buildings with the smoke coming out of the top? That is the gas chamber. The men take about 500 people inside, make them take their clothes off, trap them in the room, and turn on the gas. They wait about 10 minutes to make sure that everyone is dead, and then they go inside, take the bodies, and throw them on top of each other in a hole that the other prisoners have to dig. It is very sad because they tell the people they are going to be cleansed, but really, they are going to be killed. It's so horrible that they do this to people. I believe those trains are carrying them to places others like this one, sadly. I'm sorry to say, but your friend's family could be anywhere. Yeah, I guess. It was just hard to see them being taken away. Makis looked at me for what seemed like ages and then finally said, "I didn't realize you saw everything that happened to this family. I'm so sorry to hear that. I figured your friend just wanted you to look for his family. I didn't realize you saw everything. That must have been a tragic sight. I now understand why he was staring at me forever. I guess I didn't come out and say that I saw everything. I think I'm going to go try to find them and see if anything has happened to them yet. Thank you for all your help. I really appreciate it. If I have any more questions, I will try to find you." I followed one of the trains when they left. I saw another camp and I was looking all over for Abraham's family. I looked at every single prisoner that was there and still could not find them, so I followed the next train. I found a third camp, but I did not see Abraham's family at that camp either, so I tried again to follow that train and it led back to the first camp. I stopped and talked to Makis for a little while and told him that I had not found anything. He said he was sorry, and I told him I was going to Abraham's house and going to try to tell him that I have not found his family yet. He told me to wait a few days. He said the men run the families down, and it takes a few days until they actually reach the camps. I thanked him and flew to Abraham's. When I got to Abraham's house, he was sleeping. I was exhausted, so I didn't want to wake him, so I just fell asleep too. When I woke up, he was staring at me and asking if I had found them. I could hear the pain and guilt in his voice. I could tell that he was hoping for more information than I could give him. "I'm so sorry. I did not find them. I met another bird, Makis, who told me that I should wait a few days because sometimes the men run the people down, and it takes a few days until they reach the camps. But I am so sorry I did not find them. It's all right. There's time to find them yet. We will figure something out in the next few days. We waited 5 days, and then I went out looking for his family again. I arrived at a camp and sat on a tree. I looked out for a little while, hoping to find his family. I heard someone yell, "Camp Stuffeth." I couldn't believe what I saw. I saw Abraham's family there. I saw them standing in a line, but I could not tell what the line was for. I didn't know what I would tell Abraham. To tell him that his family is in a camp and could easily die would be the hardest thing I would ever have to do. Just then, a miracle happened. To my surprise, I heard one of the guards give out an announcement. He said, "We have decided to surrender. Hitler committed suicide 3 days ago, so we really have no reason to hold you here. You are all free. The guards will open the gate and let you out." I could not believe it. This was amazing news. It is the happiest thing I have ever heard in my life. I was so excited to get home and tell Abraham about this great news. So I flew home through the door and said to him, "Your family is on their way home. They have been released. Hitler has committed suicide. You can be with your family again." He just stared at me with his tail wagging like crazy. "Are you serious? I thought they'd never be back. I thought they were gone for good." I replied, "Me too." Then we just sat and talked for a while about the whole situation and waited anxiously for his family to get home. We heard people talking outside, and Abraham ran to the door and wagged his tail. When Mr. Klaas opened the door, Abraham ran up to him and jumped on him. The kids ran up to Abraham and told them how much they missed him. He just wagged his tail. It was great to see Abraham and his family happy again. There were so many families that did not deserve to go to those camps. The Holocaust will always affect so many families, but no one can change anything that happened. People saw horrible things, but there's nothing they could do about them when they were happening. It's just one of those things that make up history.